My name's Spud Allison, and I'm from Warwickshire in England.
You know, the very essence of the mental game is this. The only reason an event matters is because we make it matter.
Welcome to the Mullins Farrier Podcast.
I had a soccer coach, and he always said, we are going to be the fittest team always out there. Because in the moment, you don't want to be worried about being tired. You want to be focused on the soccer game.
Right.
Which is what's going to translate for me, hopefully, in the CJF, is that I'm not worried about being tired. I can focus on the task at hand.
And granted, he was like, get your specimens made. 3 months before you take your exam, get all your AW specimens made. It's good to have other people putting that pressure on you as well. Sometimes if it's a single journey, and you've not got mentors that are coaching you, helping you, you kind of rest a little bit.
If you're hearing this, you are currently on the non-subscriber feed. If you would like to hear this episode in its entirety, please subscribe using the link below. If you're a student, apprentice, or just find yourself in a situation where it isn't financially feasible to subscribe, please reach out to me on Facebook or through the website. The good folks at Out West Design and Fabrication are lending their support by helping us to cover your scholarship subscription. You can check out many of their incredible projects on their Facebook page. Out West Design and Fabrication, your choice for farrier rakes. Now here's a sample of this week's episode. Thank you for listening.
Most people that I know in this industry only want the best for the other people in the industry, which is a pretty cool thing.
Welcome everyone. A little shopkeeping before we start. I know it's summer, but in a very short time it will be fall. And that means it will be time for me to head to the BFBA's Focus and International at Stoneleigh. This has become a yearly tradition for me, and I want to invite my fellow North Americans to join me in heading over there. Between Focus and the International, there is so much to do and learn and see. Plus, you're in England, so you could do a touristy stop or two as well while you're there. Contact the BFBA at forgeandfarrier.co.uk to get your tickets today. And speaking of England, I got to spend some quality time with today's guest when I was over the pond for last year's Focus and for my first attempt at the Associate. Through Jay Tovey and Farriery Tuition, I got to spend a day with Spud while he helped Gavin Moody and myself get tuned up for the exam. We each had a horse to do make and fits on, and the whole day to do both sides. As you will hear, I spent the whole day on the struggle bus. As has been the story of most of my forging career, efficiency was my issue. I got the shoes fit up and did a fairly good job, but it took me way too long to accomplish the task. I was feeling pretty disgruntled with myself by the end of the day. But much to my surprise, Spud graciously offered for me to come back after the weekend and spend a day working on my efficiency. So I did a day in speed forging boot camp on the weekend with Danny Bennett and Jamie Hughes, and then Spud polished up my technique on the following Monday. Thanks to all of them, I was able to finish on the exam day, just not to the high standard of the exam. Spud is a legendary competitor and sport horse shoer, and has been a hero of mine for quite a while. You know that age-old adage, you should never meet your heroes? Well, in this case, as I have learned in many instances over my career, that is terrible advice. Spud is as down-to-earth as they come, and an incredible teacher. I learned so much in those 2 days, and I hope to spend more time with him in the future. I am very excited to share with you all this episode with the legendary Spud Allison. I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did. I've got to spend 2 days now with you. This has been a nice added bonus. I really appreciate that you let me come for another day after my first day. You discovered that there might be some things that I needed to work on.
Yeah, like you needed another day to finish.
Yeah, timing has always been my issue.
Not today, it hasn't been.
No, yeah. And between you and Jamie Hughes, I've been sort of tuned up. And what was it that I needed that you saw and then you just tried to instill in me today?
Basically, it's just that you really needed to have a routine of how you get through making the shoes. You never had any. There was never any. You were never making progress while you were making them. You were taking far too many heats to do too much. And when you go to your exam, you've got 2 hours to make on and put 2 bar shoes. So you need to proportion your time, and you can dress the feet, you can nail them on. So you need to get time in your job in that exam to fit your shoes and have time to finish them and be really accurate.
Yeah.
And the way you were making shoes on the first day, you were never going to have time to do that.
No, they eventually would fit up in the end, but your client was in the driveway waiting to take them away.
I had to pacify them with a beer.
Much appreciated.
No problem.
So you have been hand making shoes since when? You're a multi-generational.
Yeah, since I started full-time work with my dad, I was making shoes and shoeing horses before that as well. Before at sort of 14 and 15, I could make shoes and shoe horses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with your dad. How did he get his start as a farrier?
He was an agricultural engineer,
Okay.
but he worked for a farrier family in a village in Warwickshire called Lighthorn. And he was there working on a wet hay making for them, and came down to the forge and painted their forge for them and told them that looked easy and he should be able to do that. And so they invited him to come down on the Saturday morning. He went down on the Saturday morning, and then he worked with them for 11 years, working not just shoeing, but doing the farming as well.
Oh, okay. And that's how he... Did he start out on his own after that?
And then he started in God, you're going to push me now. I think it was about 1968 he started on his own.
Okay.
He got the forge in Stoneleigh village itself, and that's where he started work from. Yeah, he was national hunter shoeing champion 6 times. He was national champion in 1972. Yeah, he was an absolute legend at fitting hunter shoes. Just unbelievable.
And so competition was a big thing for him then?
Yeah, in his time, yeah, absolutely, yeah. They were a huge part of his life, yeah.
Okay. And then you, as a young boy, saw what he was doing, and you just took to it right away?
I'd never really thought about doing anything else.
Really? Okay.
No.
Yeah, because you get some people who've grown up with a farrier as a father, and they go and do something else, and then sometimes come back kicking and screaming and end up doing it. But
No,
it was
not
right,
at all. No, it's what I wanted to do.
It was there.
Yeah, right from the start. It was something. And if I had the time all over again, I'd go and do it all again.
Right.
Yeah.
And for you, competing has been a big part of your life as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. For many years. Yeah, I did 14 years on the bounce on the England team and won little bits here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where else did competing take you? You got to tour a bit,
the
didn't you?
US and all over mainland Europe. And yeah, I've been very lucky to have competed Switzerland, Holland, France, Germany, Canada, America.
And then touring all over the place like that, were there major differences in style that you saw? Like when you went to a different location?
Hugely.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of it is always to do with the weather and the work the horses do, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Because at that time we would have been shoeing a lot of hunters, lots and lots of hunters.
Right.
We would make 20, when I worked for my dad, we'd be doing 20, 25 pairs of cork and wedges on a week.
Holy jeez.
And all handmade fronts and all the show jumpers we did all had cork and wedges on behind.
Right.
When we shod Ted Edgar's show jumpers, that every one of them that would have cork and wedges on behind with stud holes.
Oh, yeah.
So
But where were some places that you saw some major differences?
mainland Europe,
Yeah.
forever and a day, we were light years behind them.
They were using a much bigger flat section.
A flat section, yeah. And really fitting them, full and wide and supporting these horses because they were always working on surfaces. And the horses we were shoeing had got drunken old men on them, galloping around in the mud, jumping big fences.
Right, so you don't want anything to come off.
There's not a lot sticking out when they were like that.
Right.
And some of those hunt horses, when it was really busy, we put sort of 13.5 inches of inch by half on them behind, and they would wear them out in 6 days' time. 6 days' time, we'd be back in, putting hind shoes back on them, and they'd nearly turn themselves inside. It'd be like a piece of paper when you'd finished with them.
Holy jeez. Yeah, so not many resets.
No hunter resets. No, definitely not. They'd never ever go more than a month. They'd always be shod within a month.
Okay.
When they were shod hunter.
And with a schedule like that, so I guess you'd have some busy seasons and then some
quiet
quieter
seasons.
ones.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And then has that changed now for you?
Yes, because when I left, my dad shot most of the hunters in the area.
Oh, okay.
So, and I quite enjoyed shoeing a lot of the sport horses. So
Oh, okay.
I branched out more and started doing more. We were lucky to have quite a few show jumpers in our neck of the wood.
Oh, okay.
And so I branched out and started showing quite a few show jumpers. And from, I think it was 84, shot one for the Olympics in 84. And this year was the first year that I haven't shot one for the Olympics.
And did you go sometimes to the Olympics?
Never.
No?
I went down to London. But
Did you? Okay.
We couldn't get tickets for the show jumping. It was sold out.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
You're working in some pretty high pressure situations too, are you
Well,
not in that?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. It's anybody who's done it knows just how much pressure's on you.
Yeah.
And you get lots of opportunities there where people will say, "Oh, could you shoe this horse? And can you do this horse?" And you say, "No." It's taken me the last 6 or 7 years to get this horse to the Olympics, and the other person who's shoeing that other horse has taken them 6 or 7 years to
Right.
get it there. You want to change it just before it's going to go to the Olympics? Absolutely no chance. I'm staying well away from all the others. Yeah.
Yes, no kidding. So you hand make everything still? Would you do the ones those or
no,
hunters
because
only?
they're all on surfaces. We buy flat shoes for them. Always use Kirkart DFs.
Oh, okay.
Is what we really went to with most of the show jumpers, really. Because their feet are set up for them. There's so much more wall on them,
Mm-hmm.
and so much more upright. They don't want a concave that's a bit fine with lots of pitch.
Yeah,
That's like their nemesis.
right. For sure. Even in the hind end, would you use concave for those guys or just
It
flat?
depends. If they're going off and they're going to Aachen to jump on the grass,
Right.
then I'd put a concave on then
Right.
because they need the traction.
Right.
Sometimes you get out there and it can get really wet, and it can be a holy time then where they need some
Right.
they
Need some
help.
actual
Yeah, yeah.
traction. And then you're shoeing a varied range of horses. You probably see different common injuries between one versus another based just purely on what they do.
I
Or
think
is
a
that
lot-
true?
No, the injuries are all the same. Horses are horses, aren't they? They can only injure so many things in themselves, when they tend to do all of them, don't they?
Right.
But I
Yeah.
think when you're showing the sport horses, they're so well looked after, and so they're kept so differently that you hopefully get to the injury can be a real small minor injury, and you can get to them quicker and you can
Right.
fix them. But when we're doing the hunters and things like that, it's just madness, really. They'll gallop down a road and they'll jump a gate onto the road and they'll be galloping down stony tracks. You can't put pads on them because you can't keep the shoes on with pads on.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they've just got to. But when they've done all the road work, they have to keep them fit. Their feet tend to go a lot more concave. They don't stay as when they work on the hard ground all the time. They tend to become a lot more concave.
Concave?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Really?
A lot
So
more
they
concave.
don't splat out.
They don't
as-
splat out now,
Okay.
especially when they're shod really regularly in a perimeter fit.
If you would like to hear this episode in its entirety, please subscribe using the link in the show notes. Thank you for listening. Before I let you go, I wanted to share a few words about a forge I use every day, made by my friend Andrew DeVisser of Fletcher Forge and Tool. When the inevitable time comes that my time in this world comes to an end, I can picture the standard reading of my last will and testament by my lawyer to my children. Hopefully I've got at least a couple by then. I can picture him reading out the items being dispersed amongst them from my estate. And I'm sure at some point he will say, and the FFT 100 forge will go too. Because Andrew built these things to last. Their rugged construction and the ease to replace the liners will make them a family heirloom to any farrier with one in their possession. Go to FletcherForgeandTool.com or Welshod in the US or Professional Farrier Supply in Canada to get yours today.